Welcome, everyone. I am Enoch Jamat, Assistant Operations Manager for Umba Daima. We are joined here by Jeremiah Long. He is going to take it away shortly and share all of his wonderful insight. He is a brilliant man who has been doing phenomenal work across the blockchain, across Web3, and he will take us from the beginning and end and shed light on the NFT creation process. So without further ado, Jeremiah, the floor is yours.
Enoch, thank you so much. And we were just having this really great conversation before all of our fine friends were able to join us and just talking a little bit about what's going on. And I like that head down where you're talking about the head down. You get your head down and you're working, and you're just trying to find all the resources, and you're working on your own projects. And there are so many, I've learned this, because I'm a connector, I build, I'm building a directory, and I'm always aware that I have blind spots, that there are always, every direction I'm trying to look means that there's another direction that's being actively developed that I just can't keep my eyes quite on, So that's one thing I love about, what you were doing, what Umba Daima is doing, what Iris is doing, like what a lot of people across the country that I've met recently at some of the other conferences. VCon was a big one for that. Consensus was big. NFT NYC also big for that. Was that it's a tighter group. We want to get together. It's not so competitive as much as it is, okay, you know this and you know this. Well, I know who to put you with. I know how to get these resources together. Let's all just be a piece of each other's puzzle to make Web3 work as a whole instead of being, I guess, against each other in some way. So that's like my favorite part of the space, I think, is moving things together, doing things together. You'll see like when my video's off, my shirt's like Wag Me. That's actually my design. That's a design I gave away with the NFT last year. So anybody who collected one of my NFTs last year, you probably got one of those shirts. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I see a lot of names that I know and a whole lot of names I don't know. So I'm so excited to talk with y'all, and get some questions as well. But yeah, I think we can get into it. End-to-end NFT project creation tools. I come from the Web 2 world and the Web 1 world and the pre-web world and my own worlds, and the physical world. And in all those worlds, I was always looking for the tools of the trade, the things that were needed to get my job done. And when I was working with the Atlanta Voice as the director of digital for the last 4 or 5 years since 2017, and developing all of our tools and our tech stack to be a real video-based platform and really grow in those spaces in social and broadcast, we found all these great tools that helped us to get there. And in the Web3 world, there don't really seem to be a lot of the same kind of tools. Everything is like manual from the ground up. Everything you need to do, you have to do yourself, or you have to hire a dev. You have to hire several devs. You need a team. You have to have the community leaders. You have to have the software to not get scammed, in your own communities through like Discord and Twitter and places like that. And it's all just very hard to navigate. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I want to start talking about what it means for digital toolboxes in Web3. And I'm going to move some things out of my way and get a slideshow mode. All right, cool. Are we on full screen as far as we can tell there?
Yes, you can see. Right. It's looking fresh.
Okay, so real quick before we jump into it, this is kind of my overview bio, a little bit of my art as well. I'm just a mixed kid, I grew up in Section 8 housing, moving around a lot when I was a kid. I had a single mom. I didn't get to go to normal college. I went to ITT Tech. I thought I was, I went into computers, but, that turned out to be a fraud school. But forget all that, I decided I was going to work for myself and do everything I could to do exactly what I wanted to. And so I moved into television production. I worked really hard in computer science and creative arts, doing my own art, continuing to be in bands, travel around, do everything I can to, grow in the space. And then as I grew and I became a broadcast, person, I started figuring out that I needed to help be more inclusive and help sustainable business models to grow because we didn't have those. So that's a lot, of what led me to where I'm at now, where my primary mission now with the Web3 is to hold open the door. And I was just thinking about this yesterday when I was at neighborhood church, and I was like, my job's to keep the door open for anything that I can do to help underrepresented people get into this space. And that's really where my passion comes out in talking about these tools and what can happen right now. Because if these things change in the next 2 to 3 years and it's not as accessible, that's going to feel like a big, loss in, just like in Web 1 or Web 2, where there was a big chance to get in if you knew about it early. Well, now is definitely that chance. We're always saying we're so early, right? We're only going to be able to say we're so early for so long. So with all that said, I've worked through a lot of different things. I co-founded NFTATL.io in February, and we did our first conference then. There's been, so many incredible conferences. I've known about Umba Daima since, last year, as y'all have been in the space for so long, doing so much amazing work. And, I'm just so happy to have, been able to work in the same space of y'all in Atlanta, because going around the country, you find out too, Atlanta is that spot. So I'm just really excited to be working here. More recently, I created Wedge, which it was intending to be a 501(c), but we thought it was going to take a long time to get approved based on what we said we wanted to do, which is be a Web3 education company that comes across, community-led, government helped, and then small business associated, verticals. And we got ours back. So I'm officially 501(c), working hard for y'all. So that's what I'm here to do. So real quick, what we're going to cover, digital tools for Web3, those exact tools we're talking about. And then we're going to show what those tools do. The creation and generation of the art, if your project is like a digital NFT art project, the creation of a custom smart contract, not like the OpenSea version, but your actual owned custom smart contract, because you need to own your smart contract to really have full control over everything. Then how to deploy onto the testnet and then onto the mainnet. Because when you deploy onto the testnet first, you test out all of the features and functions, all of the traits, make sure everything is exactly right. Because when you go to that mainnet, you're on the blockchain and it is forever. And if you've made a critical mistake on your contract, then you have to go almost to the drawing board. But thankfully, the tool I'm about to show you is going to make it, it'd be very hard to make a big mistake. You could make a mistake on the art, you could do a mistake on spelling something, but your contract is going to be functional. It's going to be correct. And then finally, I added this because it wasn't in the original thing. I wanted to make sure that I covered exactly what I meant by how to get your minting onto your website, because that last critical part took me so long. It was so costly. I had an amazing dev who led me through all of the Web3 parts. But of course I had to hire him, and I had to do that as a solo artist who just really wanted to make a generative Christmas project to raise money for Toys for Tots. So that was what I worked on for that. And I'll show you the examples of how I put that together in a highly technical way and how you can do it in still the exact same technical way, but with a lot of help from these great tools and these great companies. So what's not really covered here, how to make generative on-chain art, which is the super coolest part of NFTs with the all fully coded art on-chain. But we just don't have time to really go into exactly what that means here, but that's something for a future topic, perhaps. The 90-day marketing plan, if you're going to do any of these projects, I still suggest it's kind of high effort. There's low effort and high effort, right? So if you're doing just like chasing a trend, how fast can I copy some derivative that's going to make somebody buy a bunch of NFTs? You're going to miss that mark most of the time unless you're really, really good at this. So if you're trying to make a real project that's going to stand for a long time and really represents you, you want that 90-day marketing plan, but we're not going to cover that here. Other amazing marketing people that I know will cover that kind of stuff. The team structure, we'll kind of touch on that, what kind of team you're going to need, but not, how to find them, how to put them together, but it is very important. And then that community and network building, you need to build up who it is, whether it's a very small audience or a larger audience. It's extremely important to put that together, especially along with that 90-day plan, so that when you actually put your art out there, there are people that know about it. And I liken that to, I'm a DJ, so I've done a lot of local like hip hop showcases. The artists that had the best people that came to those were people that had already heard their song, like introducing their song for the first time at that showcase. The sound system might not be perfect. It might not be the best experience, but everyone who knows that song, when they come because they want to hear that song. And so if people have heard about what you're doing, when you have your event, they're going to come because they want to see you. They already know about it. So that's just where we're going with that. So it is very much going to be about the tools and about how to do it. So this is more like workshop. The hard way to do this, the most complex way, and if you know how to do it this way, here's the toolbox for this, is between Solidity. Definitely, that's going to be your Web3 language that's going to be putting your smart contracts, especially with Ethereum, together. There's also another one called Cadence. You need, if y'all learn Cadence, which is the smart contract language on the Flow blockchain, your skill just, you're worth so much right now in the market. I can't even tell you how much. So the Cadence language is the other one besides Solidity. Learning Python, learning JavaScript, and then if you are already a JavaScript dev, then learning Ethers, Web3, and then of course React, and then Node. Those are the main tools in the Java toolbox that you're going to want to know about, so that you can move your JavaScript skills into Web3. And then the other parts are more front end side, HTML and CSS for styling your website. And then GitHubs, which is a way for people to collaborate without, being fully remote teams. These are all the most complex ways, but the way that you can, if you have a team that understands each of these tools, you can move very fast to make really complex projects. So that's kind of what I'm talking about if you're on the other side. It's complex, but you can use these command line tools for coding your project from the ground up to make it exactly the way you want, fully function. This is how people really are innovating in the space, is they know these advanced, these ultra, command line advanced tools that allow them to create anything they want from scratch. But development time on something like that is going to be much longer usually than what I'm about to show you. What I'm showing you, if we have enough time, we might be able to do during this session. So it's a lot faster than a year. And that's why I wanted to show you that if you have a great set of devs on this other side, then go that way for super innovative projects with a great timeline. But if you're focused more on your art and you're focused more on your, what you want to do with your community side, this might be some different tools that you can use. So this is the difference in 2022. This was totally the difference than 2021, because mind you, I did not have access to these tools. I would have loved to have access to them at the time that I was working on my Christmas project and Christmas projects. So we're not talking about very long ago. So in 2022, there's a lot of low code or quote no code. You'll see me not use those terms that much because I don't want it to think that those codes don't exist underlying what I'm about to show you, but it just makes it easier to understand what's going on and to keep it moving, because writing the code is the monotonous part. But what you'll find out in Web3 is a lot of the code is the same code over and over again. The 721 standard, the transferable standard, these are the ERC 165 standard. These are like basic codes that you kind of automatically put into your smart contracts so that they function as an NFT should quote function in 2022. So these are things that are just going to help you with all of that. So with only those tools and the documentation on the same websites that I'll show you, and there's actually live discords for most of these, especially the third web tool that I'll show you. They have a very active Discord. They're always trying to solve our biggest problems. You can create and generate the content, which can be the art, music, film, 3D files, and you'll create this really crucial file called a JSON file, a JSON file, as I'll say throughout here. A JSON file is just a text file that has the information about your art, your NFT in it. And that's a very crucial piece that connects what your art is to what it's supposed to be. And I'll show you examples of that in just a moment. And then we're going to create and test deploy and then mainnet deploy the custom smart contract, because you always want to test it first, and it won't cost you practically anything to test it. And then when you mainnet test it, there are some, gas fees and such like that are involved. But thankfully, this solution also will lessen those fees by about 80 to 90%, because they're helping you out by using proxy contracts, which are really helpful in this manner. So then, then you'll create and test and deploy your minting website, because you'll have a piece of code that is also helpfully generated by this company. And then you just have to insert that code into your website as an iframe. It's very easy for almost every type of website. So these are the actual tools we're going to talk about. IPFS, which is the Interplanetary File System, which is a very common way to decentralize files in Web3. It's kind of like Amazon storage or Drop. Okay, I still exist, right?
You sure do. You're good.
Here we go. All right. So tools. These are the tools we're going to really focus on this particular round, but just know that I'm also even going to mention other tools throughout here that are similar or do a similar thing. And I am all about great tools. So if you find something that's the similar thing or better than these, I'm going to switch over to that almost immediately. I am so functional like that. But that being said, these tools are really strong. The Interplanetary file system is the leading decentralized storage. I will say it's definitely not the only one because I really am looking at Arweave a lot. Arweave is its own blockchain that is storing it, and it's also using nodes. So I love the idea of that. It may be better in the long term. It may be better for larger files. It may be better for like videos or movies, such things like that. Filecoin works with IPFS. Storage started here in Atlanta. It's another great reason to try to check that one out. And there's a few other solutions, but just know that as a tool, we're talking about decentralized storage, but we'll focus on IPFS for this one. And the specific reason is because it works so well with the other ones we're talking about. Nifty Generator. Now, when I say Nifty Generator, I'm using a generic name, but we're talking about a specific tool that is called Nifty Generator, nifty-generator.art. And at the end of this, I'll give you all the links to everything we're talking about. But the Nifty Generator is the idea that you have a front end website browser that does that Python script that's really hard that I was struggling with before. And then I'll show you some examples of that as we get a little deeper. And then so what that tool does is it takes your layers of art and then you upload them and then you type in what you want those rarities to be. You know, this is the rarest one. This is the most common trait. And then you press a button and it generates that art based on the number of pieces of art, unique art that you want. And it spits out that JSON file that you need so that I was mentioning before, so that the data matches the piece of art on OpenSea or other places like that. Totally free to use. There's several different versions of this. I'm so thankful that these exist now because I loved watching the Python script run and literally decorate my trees in the background, like running as it's going. But most people aren't, it's such a stumbling block trying to get past that part. They're not going to be able to hire a Python dev, and that person was going to hand write them a script for doing this exact same thing that I can upload to a website for now. So Third Web, I don't know why it's under the radar because I've been at a lot of conferences and Third Web does have a presence pretty much everywhere I've been, but I'm so surprised that people aren't super obsessed with Third Web. It's a super highly recommended tool for developers. It's led by some really great people in the NFT space. I found out about it through some cool cats because a person who is also a cool cat is one of the people that started the company. It's free to use right now. Once they get pretty big, I'm sure that they're going to come to some kind of cost structure, because the reason I've been turning towards Third Web a lot is because the alternative versions of Third Web that are trying to do similar things, they are usually on a cost structure. They're going to cost you 5% of your mint price. They're going to cost you 5% of your resale price, something like that. With Third Web, currently, this is 100% free to use, and it's super powerful. It also has an art generator solution similar to the the same as the Nifty Generator built into it. So we're going to show you the separate one, but just know that Third Web also can do that same job, that same lift, just within the one app. So then that's a solution for also deploying your custom smart contract, and they will also answer your questions in Discord pretty much anytime you have them, which is really helpful if you get to a point where you have either a burning question of like something complicated, or if you have a really simple question. They love the hard questions though, because they're trying to help people a lot, and they're also big techies. So they really want to answer those hard questions. It's also free to use. Note, like when we're talking about using a custom smart contract, you're also going to be using a non-custodial crypto wallet. So it's one thing we're not getting into here, but I get into in other talks. Lots of other people can, and we can also talk about, of course, some is just the basics of creating a MetaMask wallet, things like that. That is a very basic thing you'll have to do. Is you'll have to create a non-custodial wallet, whether it's a MetaMask or a different solution. And then finally, the Web 2 part, Namecheap, is what I'm using here, because Namecheap is kind of like GoDaddy or Squarespace or even MailChimp website builder, which is I think under the radar, because MailChimp website builder is free. It's a free tool to build a high quality drag and drop website that's really built around landing pages. And landing pages, if you don't know, are a type of website that's usually very long, and it has a lot of information about what what you're telling them, what information wise, and it's usually used for sales. And so it's really perfect format for an NFT project, because you want to hit them with the features and benefits over and over again, and all the videos, all of your content in a long format, and then give them chances to mint, And so the MailChimp website builder is a great solution too. But for here, I like Namecheap, because for like $60, you can get a year of your domain and hosting, and you can build on WordPress underneath Namecheap, which for me is a really great solution, because it's slightly techier than like Squarespace or like MailChimp builder, but you can make whatever kind of website you want, and you can install things really easily, and you can use Elementor and stuff like that to make it, very, very easy and very slick. And I don't know, it's a lot of use cases there, but it's very inexpensive. And if you are planning to sell any amount of your art, that $60 is going to really be worthwhile to have a nice, clean website. Maybe your website is like me, like jlong.art, jlong.art is full of jlong's art, so that's what I'm going to use it for. And that's what I put a bunch of art on there. So it's worthwhile to have for me. So, if you need a good solution, that's a possible. It's actually a lot cheaper than a Squarespace and such things too, if you really think about it, because those are probably $20 to $40 a month for the same level that you get with the Namecheap. So overall, you need to store the art. You need to create the art. You need to store the art. You need to have a way for people to mint the art, and then you need a place for people to come and find it. And that's through your own personal website. As I said at the beginning too, we're not going to talk about, social media, your community building on that side, but the score there, and there's other amazing people that'll help us with those things. We're focused here on getting this JSON file and this art created. So then that's the next really important part. So this is an example of some screenshots from Nifty Generator. And then a little later, I have all those websites pulled up, and I can show you we can actually press the button, and I can actually generate some random trees, and we can show you what I mean. But what this is a front end solution for that middle white block right there. That's an example from my personal JSON file that we generated using it the old fashioned way by writing a code. And I'll flash up there too my actual Python script once we get to the end of this. So in this example, and this is not how I did it, by the way. Remember, I did everything from scratch with a dev 1-to-1. It took a long time. It took us 4 months, I think, to finish. We barely finished in time to get, going for Halloween and such like that. So it took a long time. So in this case, what you're doing is each trait's going to be on a separate layer. We use the Python script to combine the layers. You choose the rarities of the layers. And then the final file, once you export it, will be in this JSON file where it says paste from CSV or TSV. You can either tell it what you want, or it'll spit that same thing back out at you at the end, which is similar to like what that text box is. And that text box is an example of what the final JSON file will most likely look like. But thankfully, you don't have to figure out, because if you had 1 comma off right there, it would mess up. See, it says token ID 6654 and then 6655 at the bottom. It would mess everything up if you have 1 comma or 1 thing in the wrong place. Like, it won't even work. So that's why it's really great to have these solutions as well, because they do it for you. So those final files will be hosted online as well, either through your website or through IPFS. If you want to decentralize, you'll host that file eventually on IPFS, so it's not just on a Web2 website. So here's what's actually happening when you're doing that. You're going to upload the files. See, I have my files for each layer of my Christmas tree in different folders, and I have those folders, listed here. They're not in the right order here, but you can, actually, they may be, no, they're not in the right order there, but when you go to put them up there, you'll put them in the order that's the furthest back, which is the background. And then for my particular project, the next furthest back thing is the actual tree itself. And then you've got the decorations, you've got the topper, you've got the presents, all that has to be closer to you, so in front of that. And then to the side, you've got what we have is the familiars, or comforts. I call them comforts. So for I have different cats, I have dogs, I have spilled milk. So this is all art that I did, right? The only art that I didn't do is see the banana in the middle. One of my innovations for my project was to use the IP license of some of the NFTs that I own as Christmas ornaments. So I used that one, the Forgotten Ruins Wizard Cult, my cool cat, some of those different ones as ornaments on the tree, so that it could connect to some of the communities that I'm in. And so that's basically what's happening in the background. Is you take those files, the computer script looks at those different trait elements, and then it generates that final image that you see on the other side, which is a PNG from in my particular case. So here is how that actually works. This is Third Web. This is how you get started from the very top, because you're going to be deciding what it is you're trying to create. And this is the technical side, not the art side. The art side we've pretty much covered at this point. And we'll go back into how it all works, but that's how you generate the art. I'm going to flash back through real quick though. You upload your files, these files into Nifty Generator, that one that's up in the corner there. You tell it which rarities it has. You press the button, bam, the art is done. So of course that doesn't mean that you're good at art or that you have any talent or that, but it does mean that you would now know the process of creating generative art. So creating the smart contract, this is the part to get it. Now that you have 8,888 Christmas trees in a file folder on your computer, they're still not NFTs. They're just pictures of art that you've made. So now if you want to make those into NFTs, you have to have a smart contract. So with the smart contract, you're going to create a development wallet, a different wallet than you normally use for your day-to-day transactions or your NFT collection, any of those, because that wallet needs to just be for this contract. So you'll go in, if it's MetaMask, it's very easy. You can go in and press a button on mobile or on the regular app and just say create new wallet. It'll do it instantly and it'll hand you that mnemonic phrase that you need to save. And you save that information to the side and you keep that specific wallet. Now what I do is it'll let you nickname wallets in MetaMask, for example. I went ahead and nicknamed my wallet, Xmas Dev for that wallet. So I don't get it confused which wallet that I'm dealing with, because this wallet is connected to your smart contract. And once it's connected to, it'll be eternally connected in a way where the contract says you are the dev of this contract. So what you don't want is your day-to-day wallet that, your hot wallet, as they say, if it were to get hacked, they'd also have control of your smart contract beyond just having the wallet. So that's why you want to have that separate dev wallet. So then you're going to add a little bit of crypto for testing and deployment. In this case, for testing, there is a free place that they'll give you 6 Ethereum on the testnet, and that's testnet Ethereum. So it's not worth anything, over on Coinbase. But in the testnet world, it'll just give you what's called a spigot or a faucet. I'm sorry, what's called a faucet. And a faucet means they're just going to give you some test crypto so that you can try out your contract on the testnet. And then, of course, eventually you'll need a little regular crypto for the final deployment, because when you make any transaction on the blockchain, then that blockchain has to be paid for through the miners and through the verification, the validation process. And that little bit of gas is what it will take to do that. When I say a little bit too, when I had to do this last year, it cost me 0.33 Ethereum, or the equivalent of about $1,300 to mint my contract last year without the help of any type of I did it all on my own, just with coding, just with code. That's how we did it, just with code. No website, no solution, no help. and you can do it that way still. But with Third Web using proxy contracts, it may cost you 0.05, 0.03 Ethereum, especially right now. It's probably like $60 or $80 maybe to mint your contract. So, and maybe less than that, you never know. So they're very helpful in that way, because they're also helping you there. So then you're going to, you pick what type of token you're going to make. You're going to need to name the project, of course. You're going to have that description. These are just, I'm telling you what's funny. If you just have everything on this list, you're pretty much ready to go. Just letting you know, this is all you need to make this contract I'm talking about. So you need the name of the project, the description, you need a symbol for the project, who will collect the royalties, because that royalty split is built into this as well. And you can make a complicated one or an easy one. And then which blockchain is it going to be on? Like if it's going to be on Ethereum, if it's going to be on Solana, AVAX, you've got a Polygon, you've got several choices inside of there, and more coming all the time because they're in active development. So I turn your attention to the right side and just kind of mention the types of drops that this is just a screen with your mouse. You're going to click. I think I'm going to do NFT collection. Bam. All right. They set everything up right past that for the basics of your NFT collection, and then you start adding that information that's on the left side. And now the differences here really are you going to do an ERC 721, which is a 1 of 1 for each NFT drop? You can do what's called an ERC 1155, which means you have a single NFT that has multiple copies. That's where it says edition drop, claimable drop in of one NFTs. That's for 1155s. So you can also do special types of drops that it's one of the two types I just mentioned, but when it says signature drop, that second line, that means that you're going to upload a list of wallets that are allowed to claim it. And that is when you're talking about, getting into your allow list. So then that's part of it. You can, and that's something you can do later, but you can start off right from the top saying, this is a signature drop that can only be claimed by specific people. Towards the bottom, I can let y'all just keep reading these on your own, but you can drop your own token. You can set up voting in a DAO. You can set up your own DAO directly through this. You can set up splits for sharing revenue. So if you did a contract that had 10 artists on it and all 10 artists need to evenly split the royalties forever, boom, that's what that one's for. And then marketplace at the bottom, forget everybody else, forget OpenSea. I'm doing it my own way. I'm going to go into Toledo, Ohio. I'm going to get everybody in the community together. We're going to do our own drops in our own marketplace. We don't care what they do outside of Toledo. And we're going to put the firest artists, all the music people together, and we're just going to completely max out. That is the button you press to do that. And so then this is an example of what it starts to look like, okay? So when you're going to create your smart contract, you go past that first button, and this is the example of dropping a regular avatar project. Now for this one, I went over to what's called Adobe Avatar. There's an Adobe, okay, so don't use this in real life because this is a testnet thing, but you could go to Adobe Avatar, which is an avatar generating program that's web-based, and you could generate these all day long. These randomly generated, I thought they look funny and be a funny example for this. That being said, the picture in the upper corner where it says Avatars 22, that is secretly an image from an NFT archaeology project I'm working on from 2017. So the reason I'm using this one is because I was testing out if I could resurrect that project. So lots of cool stuff going on here, but why I wanted to show this one is this is the next step that comes next once you press that button and you have your art in hand. So you've generated the art, and then you're going to start getting your contract ready to mint. So you're going to open that dev wallet, you're going to upload the art, and that's what those first two examples were, where I just uploaded them one at a time. Now you could upload the large JSON file and the large folder of it. It just takes a while because this is all web-based. So I usually do it in smaller batches because it processes pretty quick if you do smaller batches, in my opinion. You upload that JSON file, and where it says properties, you see gender, male, that's that JSON file. And then you're going to start setting, instantly, the next part down where it says phase 1, you're getting into your allow list and your claim phases. When is your mint going to start? How many NFTs are you going to drop during that phase? How much are you going to charge? What currency are you going to use? Even if it's on Ethereum, you don't have to use Ethereum as the currency. As the smart contracts underlying the way that they set this up for you lets you use whichever contract you want. So you could say USDC as the payment so that they have to pay essentially in dollars. You could say pretty much any ERC20, and you can paste in a contract. So you could use your own custom token from that last one where I said you just dropped your own token. All right, make them pay with that token. So that's an ApeCoin kind of example. So you could do all that stuff. And this is that next click, right? So you're already here. This is where, we're this close already. How many could be claimed in a single transaction? So are they minting just one? Can they mint 10? And then how many seconds do the wallets have to wait between claiming? You set that to 0 so they can only claim one time. Like you can do up to 10, but just one transaction, right? And if you set that number to have an interval, it can add extra protection so that your mint can't be botted, because that would mean the same wallet can't just jump back in and mint 10 more over and over again. It would have to wait a certain amount of time. And you have full control over all that just through this front side wizard. And all what's happening in the background is based on your choices. They're changing the basics of your contract so that it fits what you're asking it to do. And so they're setting all this up. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is every time you change something on these, you will pay a small, much smaller than minting for the thing. You'll pay a small gas fee because you have to confirm it on the Ethereum blockchain that you want that to be a change to your contract. So those are things that'll happen there. So then once we get past that, we're going to mint. This is the test mint, right? We're going to mint and see if it works, and go over to testnets.opensea.io and look at the testnet version of the mint and see if it did what we expected. And after we get through this, I'll show you some examples of all those things. And then you verify that everything's right. Is this the image you expected to mint? Are all the traits what you expected? Is everything right? You get to change the names of the collection, you know, all the things that you normally would change on an OpenSea collection, including where the royalties go from the OpenSea side. And you can set all those things. And then once you feel super, super comfortable with all that, that is when you're going to go and deploy to the mainnet. And you're going to do the exact same thing again. You're going to go through and actually do it. So here's what that looks like. When you deploy to mainnet, the difference is you will have a normal contract on the Ethereum blockchain. And for my contract, I verified that contract so that it could be publicly seen by anyone who wanted to interact with the contract over on a website like Etherscan. And Etherscan is the website that it's a very old website, actually, that's been around almost as long as Ethereum, that shows you the back end of all the code and all of the contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. There are other solutions too, I found out more recently, like My Ethereum Wallet, that is a really cool solution for looking at this as well. And sometimes it'll let you interact with contracts in a different way than this website will, but this is the go-to website to look at contracts. We'll look at some of this in a moment as well. So this is the mainnet version. It's very similar. You're going to open that dev wallet. You got to have that, you know, either that same dev wallet or a fresh one. But for, in my case, the testing dev wallet and the main dev wallet, I kept the same. If you have a stealth mint, you're going to want those to be different wallets because you don't want to be tracked, you know, you don't want someone to be able to copy trace and find out that you're minting, quote unquote, between your test net and your main net. So you separate those wallets if it's very important to keep anonymity or keep something stealthy. And then it's not such a big deal if you just don't care. Or if you have no reason to think someone is looking at the testnet OpenSea trying to find you. It's very unlikely. So you open that dev wallet, you still do that same art upload. This is all for first over on Third Web. It doesn't look the way that this looks. It looks the way that this looks. Same exact thing. The only difference is you're on mainnet instead of testnet. It's the absolute only difference in the interface. But it'll tell you, you'll be very clear. You'll upload that JSON file the same way. You'll set those allow list and claim phases. By the way, I'm still pushing allow list. We don't need anything else. Whitelist, allow list. So we're trying to deploy on mainnet, and that's what we really will do. And once we actually deploy it on mainnet, then we'll be able to check the live contract on Etherscan, which is what I'm showing here. And when you check the live contract, you'll look to see, hey, everything is right. Everything is what I expected. Everything works. And then for me, I went through Etherscan and skipped any of the front end website, the way that you'll have your users or have your customers or your collectors to get the NFT. You go through the Etherscan version and you go right there where it says number 4 mint Xmas tree. You put 0.048 Ethereum in there. You put 1 token. You connect your wallet. You hit write, and it will mint a Christmas tree directly through Etherscan. And if that works and everything happens the way you expect it, it's time to get ready to actually deploy, you know, your front side, you know, your 90-day marketing plan, your everything, you know, to make sure that, you know, to get your product out there. So this is it. This is the whole technical Web3 portion of it. The next part I'm going to show you is a little bit about how to get it onto your minting site. So this is more of a Web2 thing, but very, very important because you've got this contract and it looks like this and it's up there, but what are you going to do with that except mint through the Etherscan, right? So you have to have that front end website. That front end website was such a stumbling block for me because building a GitHub and connecting web3.js, and now you have to connect ethers instead of web3.js because Metamask no longer injects web3.js into the transaction node. All that means is it was really hard, and all that stuff now happens in the background with Third Web. And what they do is go to Namecheap, reserve your name, get your website up. If you already have a website, by the way, do you like your website, your current website? You have any professional website of your own? Any website you currently have that you could make you a new page that says, this is my, umbadaima.com/mint. And then you go to that page and then you take on the right side here where it says embed code and it has iframe. You copy that code in there, you paste it into the code version when you're looking at that page. You know how you can look at the text version, or there's a little button at the top on WordPress at least that lets you switch to looking at the code version of the same page. You paste that in there and then see where that white box is at the bottom. That's what it looks like popped up on your web page. and it's ready to go. That's a mintable. There's a wallet connect button where it says 5AC in that white box. That's the wallet connect button when there's not a wallet connected to it. The button down there lets you claim. That's it. That you can mint directly from any website page with that. So that's what I really love about Third Web 2 is they solved that issue, because why should artists and a lot of musicians and people that have really great content have to completely go through that entire process of learning what web3.js does and how to program it just to get this same thing together, right? So thank you so much to Third Web for that again. That's really been helpful, and it's been helpful to people that I've helped get their projects together, because there's only so much that a team can lift sometimes, and that other part of it, that could be a lot of funds, or there could be a lot, those resources could go towards building out your social media, for example, so very helpful. Really liked it. You save that page, you refresh it, testing. I still encourage you to highly test everything, even once you're live, just to make sure everything is happening the way you expect it. And there's creative ways to make that worthwhile. Here's a live example of another project that I worked on that's a live minting website using that exact technology. So we went through all the way from the top to bottom using Third Web. This one is all the way done using that. It's an ERC 1155. And that ERC 1155 is a license to an entire beat tape that he made. It's got 10 songs on it. You're allowed to, the NFT itself is a license for you to non-exclusively use the songs in your music. And that's what his NFT is. And you connect the wallet there, you do that. I actually, using Thrivecart, also made a secondary payment method that you could use a credit card instead of using crypto. And yeah, we just push that right in there. And I'll show you what tool that is for making it so you can use cash instead of crypto as well, just because that's right past the end of the regular presentation. So yeah, that is basically it. That reason that I went through it in that way is because I have a couple of examples that reference the different portions from making the art, making the contract, and examples of those other tools that I haven't even quite mentioned yet. So we can go back to anything on that, but I did want to just flash this, that once this is over, I will be sending Umba Daima, which I think they already have actually, the links to everything that we're talking about here. Plus on the right side, I really love how Hashlips has done a partnership with Third Web, and they will talk and they walk you over the shoulder videos through everything that I just was talking about through all of those interfaces. And this video is maybe a week old, so I mean it's fresh. This is another thing we have not talked about, but AI art is one of my favorite things to experiment with right now. And if you've seen anything from the DALL-E experiment, at least recently, where there's really amazing generative art coming out from the DALL-E AI program, there's another cool solution called Prose Painter that you don't have to get on a wait list for. You can jump on that website right now. And Prose Painter will let you upload your own image, draw an image in the block, or just come up with things and just go completely into your mind's eye on doing AI generation around that by using text-based prompts. It is fun, it's interesting, and it's open source, so whatever you make is yours. It's really cool like that. My podcast is also listed on here. It's called Discussing Art, and I do a lot of informational stuff about NFTs, but my newer season is going to be interviewing people that I've met from all over the country that share my passion for Web3 and Web3 development. And a lot of cool people. I just interviewed the guy that invented ran web.com, like Will Pimble. And just, we'll have a lot of fun over there. And we talk about a lot of these same subjects. So yeah, I'll let him share for a second, but we can talk more about what all y'all are thinking about and any other specific questions. And then I do have a couple other examples that I could flash up. And I didn't actually get a chance to look at the chat too. So if there's anything I need to cover from there as well. And I'm gonna get a sip of water.
Just wow, Jeremiah. My head is swelling, but I'm just really have to commend you on your ability to explain such complexities in the manner that you did so. And it's just very, very impressive. Thank you so much for going over that with us. I've had some aspirations, to, go out, create my own marketplace, maybe create a project. But sometimes, the tech can push you away from it. And this conversation definitely has opened my eyes, and for sure. So thank you again. And then there was a question. I answered it briefly. So April asked, What do you mean by the claim phase? And it would be great if you went over that. And then there's another question that was saying, do you recommend blender.org over Third Web for art creation? And then we got some hands after that.
Yeah, I recommend trying out a whole bunch of different solutions, because even the solution that I showed is actually Nifty-Generator.art, and that is actually the one I recommend over Third Web. So I really like that one. So, and I'll show you here. I have it pulled up actually. Here, I can show real quick too. I'll just jump to the ones that matter as they go here. I'm just going to share my entire desktop, so if I have anything totally crazy, then don't front run me. All right, so this is the Nifty Generator. You see this okay?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, so this is where I've already uploaded my Christmas tree file folders, right? So let me go back to here. Here's my Christmas tree file folder. And maybe I just like the colors on this too, but I just think this is a very pleasant to look at and easy way to get things done. So I want to generate 50 images is what I put here. And then which blockchain you're going to use is important here, because the metadata will only be usable. So this is an innovation that was not even here just a few weeks ago when I was using this. So they're still working on this and making it even better and better. So then, I do that. I go to next, how should the images be named? Because it's going to be name-id. So if it was your Christmas project, like for whatever, it'd be like, so, whatever your project is called, and then the description, because this will be in the metadata of what it is. And then the order. So then you want to have the traits at the top be on the top layer, and then the traits at the bottom be on the bottom. So remember how I was talking about the background is in the furthest back, and then the tree. So then that's how I have this order: the background and the tree, and then the comfort, which is the cat or the dog or spilled wine, whatever I've got there. And then everything as it goes forward towards the eye, is on the top. So then the presents are the most forward facing layer. So it's at the very top. So then these are all literally representations of the file folders that this file folder right here. This is the file folder, same exact. So then that order is just the top to bottom order of that file folder. So then here's the part where you decide how rare each layer is. Now, don't be scared by the way these are named. These are just the way I named them: present 1, present 10, these things. So like yours will be named however you name them. So I know what these mean. So low ornaments, and here's all the low ornaments. I know what they are. So I put, the rarities based on that. And then you do that for every single section, because, you're generating every single part there. So every single section that I have a folder for has a layer there. So I 1000% suggest having a Google slide or a Google sheet off to the side with this exact same information. That's what I have. I don't have it pulled up, but I do have that so that I can just glance at it and make sure that it's right before I do that. Oh, look, see, next button, it's already doing it. Boom, boom. Yeah, literally. I didn't even realize, I didn't even meaning for it to go that fast. And now it's generating these awesome trees, like that one with the Halloween presents. There's a ghost in the background in the one. You see the spilled wine, see my different cats. This is all my stuff. And this part makes you, well, if it's your own art, it'll make you smile, because it's your own art and you're seeing original versions of it for the first time, a lot of times yourself. And there's no telling what this thing will spit out. It's really, I don't know, this part is, as an artist, this part makes me very happy. Oh, look, that one spit out a ghost with a Halloween topper, and the next one has the beach. I don't know, like there's some combinations you'll see here, that you don't even expect, like, oh yeah, the next one, dog with nothing. Like, it's just, I don't know. I could look at this stuff all day, but I won't force y'all to watch it generate all this stuff. But so basically it does it, and then once it does that, the next thing that'll happen when oh yeah, see, I just clicked on one of them. So here's like one of the images, and I used vector to do all this so that the images won't distort on larger and smaller, but I drew every single thing in this. So just like shout out to myself. Okay. So here's what my contract actually looks like on Etherscan. It's NFT Xmas trees. We verified it on Etherscan on 9/5/21. These are the things you can do with the contract. You can see how many max trees. These are the read portions of the contract, that the information about what's going on. And then this is the right portion of the contract, the stuff you can do on the blockchain, like mint a Christmas tree. So that's interesting there. And then versus that, this is the mintables.club, mintables.club. This is an alternative solution to Third Web that's also pretty awesome. I experimented with both. It has a lot of the same ideas. You can deploy your contract. You can generate your images all within the same just the same dashboard. If you look at the testnet here, here's a testnet wallet that I've used for both Third Web and for Mintables to test it out. In the Mintables version, my GIF worked, and honestly, I can't tell you which one's which. I think the Third Web one worked with the GIF, and the Mintables one, the GIF did not come through. But I would have to look back to tell you which one did which. So that's why I experiment with multiple solutions as well, because you test these things out. These are all testnet. You see how it says testnet.OpenSea? You test all these out before you do that. See, I had tested multiple times with William Gold's mixtape before we launched. Yeah, and you can see where I'm going with my stuff there. I'm gonna stop sharing there. I think that I see, what are my thoughts on finallyfreeproductions.com? Their claim is that they're able to take an NFT idea to launch for 4,000, which includes smart contract, DApp, Discord server launch strategy with a project manager for around $4,000. I would say it's a little out of the scope of because of the project manager stuff. But for $4,000, if they're giving you that 90-day plan and they're doing the Discord server and launch, and that they're not anonymous, do not give anyone anonymous in this space in 2022 your money. If they can't dox, I will tell you a bunch of people in Atlanta that'll do this job for $4,000, and they'll do a great job. So if they're not doxed, then I would move on to someone who is doxed, that has a public facing company, and that public facing company has LinkedIn profiles that you can connect to, and you can hold the people accountable if they don't knock your stuff out the park, because that is the most important part of putting your money into this part. Now, what they're saying there, I mean, what I just showed you will solve most of, except it's not going to do the Discord server, and it's not going to do your marketing strategy. So if that's worth $4,000, then go for it. If not, you're already pretty close on your own. So I would watch that hash slips thing and then get so excited ear to ear that you don't need someone to help you with your smart contract. Now, on the other side, if you don't have the time to be involved with that, I just want to be honest, maybe you should make the time because this is a really important part. And if you really just want, just kind of dip your toe into it, just play with experimenting, like if you commit $4,000 to a project, this should be the next year of your life, in my opinion. Like beyond your day job or anything else. And I've launched multiple projects, and I had to let go of my entire consulting. I'd spun up a pretty big consulting firm in Web3, and I was like, no, I'm getting rid of all of that and focusing on my own stuff. So it's very time consuming if you don't commit to your actual project, So that's a big part of it too. That's why I love artists, because, artists can, they're committed to their art, and this is just another medium to use it, whether it's music or whatever. I was going to say there's one.
One second, Jeremiah.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Patrick.
I wanted to shoot it over to Patrick.
Yeah.
Because his hand's been raised. But Charles, that's a really great point. I also wanted to add to, there's some of these tools that have communities with them. And you said there's Web3,
Third Web.
Which tool has, what is it?
Third Web, yeah.
Third Web, yes. Third Web, like Web3. Has like a really active Discord too. So like, if you don't have the time, or if you just kind of need someone else to nudge you along, and engaging in those Discords while you're learning is like, the perfect way to get through the journey. But okay, Patrick, are you there? I see your hand raised. Your arm must be hurting. All right, you might have stepped away, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, I think you were looking for another question here.
Yeah, I was thinking about. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Cool. All right. Sorry, yeah, I was on. I think I had muted myself by accident. I am a producer and producer and a DJ, and I've also managed artists. So getting into the Web3 space, I had a few questions about. And I think you touched on it a little bit as far, but my question is, okay, scenario: we release a song, right? We want to give equity to, let's say, hey, we're going to give 20% of this song away in the form of NFTs or whatever to our fans and followers. Maybe over time that the value of, if you spent $20 on it, maybe 6 months from now it's worth $100. Who knows? But the value is in that possibility, but also just.
Oh, Patrick, you
how
might
do
have.
we track the sales of that where it's automatically, you know what I mean? So people automatically know, okay, this streamed 1 million times or whatever, you know what I mean? Kind of how do we track that fan relationship, or what's the easiest way to kind of keep up with that, to keep everything authentic and streamlined and not an admin nightmare is my question. Is there any tools that like specifically have conquered the music equity NFT part of the game, or?
So easy, short answer, long answer on that. Okay. Short answer is specifically what you're talking about sharing equity with a song with the people who purchase. Let's say you have 100 copies of the NFT, and that is amounts to 20% of the song rights. My suggestion and the way that I handled it with the seller, Beat Tape by William Gold, is that we had a contract, like a normal contract, like you did back in Web 2 or pre-web, back on SoundClick, just the normal contract. This is what spelled out what you get, and you actually make that a part of the NFT rights to the rights holder. And so then what Web3 is solving there is making it immutable what their rights are, but what it doesn't solve is rights management, because rights management, you're talking about like, how do I know that 1,000 times it was streamed, like Spotify knows, for example, right? That is something that a lot of people are chasing right now. And I want to share I hope this is a hopeful thing here, but this is kind of the landscape of music NFTs.
Oh my God.
And so there's a lot of people chasing answering your question right now. Yeah. So I almost said scary because some people find this to be a scary instead of helpful graph, but it's helpful. And I'll tell you why, because the upper right corner where it says fan clubs, those are mostly the solutions that are figuring out that specific area of licensing and figuring out how to split it in the background so that we don't have to invent that, because we don't want to invent it, right? We want somebody to come up with a great solution, and we want it to be immutable in the blockchain so everyone can use it in their dApps and everything. So that upper one, and then a couple of the other middle of the rows ones are kind of doing the same thing. Now, mind you, most of what I'm showing you here are individuals or very small groups of people doing something very specific, whether it's a single artist, a music label, a generative collection that's not an artist, that's like computer code, those types of things. But then there's also ones that are solving ticketing, like ticketing to live events, things like that. And where it says streaming on the middle right, those are some groups, especially Audius. Audius has been here for quite a while, that are really trying to solve exactly that problem. And it makes me very hopeful to have a landscape like this, because it means that there's some really big brains that are working on this problem. And I don't think there will be an Amazon of type solution, like a final, like Spotify 3 type idea. And I don't think we want that. But what I've learned, especially by seeing things like that, is the strength is in decentralization and niching down. So when I made the example about Toledo, I'm super serious. It's a perfect time to find the best people in jazz in Atlanta in NFTs, which is like 5 people maybe, and get those 5 people together and their strongest supporters and build this like very strong small niche of it. Because what I found in my own travels and studies of this and being, finding my various tribes in this world, in the NFT world is when I went to travel to other places, then I found the St. Louis jazz NFT culture people. And I found the New Orleans jazz NFT culture people. And as soon as you find those people in New Orleans, you're like, oh, there's some people that can really move the needle. And we're all now a community together.
Right.
And that's almost the solution to me over, can I make a song, tell 1 trillion people about it on Spotify, and will they care? That's the solution. Like, I don't need 1 million people to know about my song. I need my besties across the world to find out about it, and they will tell all of their people on this smaller platform. And instead of getting 0.001 cents, I'll get $7.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think that that's the real solution, is that we're niching down into, into better ways of finding each other than in the past, maybe.
Of course. Of course.
I hope that kind of, I know it's not a perfect answer, but.
Nah. I mean, it gives me a direction. And do I have room to ask another question, or is it okay? Are you familiar with and I think it's a new thing, but the NFT wearables, but not the digital ones. Like I think it's called Spatial Labs is the first one I heard of, where there's like actual tech. Let's say there's a T-shirt, but I can actually use an app and maybe like put the app to the T-shirt and say, okay, this is the actual one of the 100 that exists because of that app. I'm also big into sneakers and stuff like that. I just came from SneakerCon Atlanta. So I thought it was very interesting as far as like just authentication. Now, do you know, well, first, I kind of want to get your feel on that, but I also want to know if you know of any ways that because I know it's a new thing, that the common person or the small label can create those types of products that have like the, to give like that true collectible type of feel that you can authenticate on the blockchain with actual physical products.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know where everybody's based, but here in Atlanta, there is a really great guy who's in the Cardano space, and his name is Darren Stevens. And I'll share real quick his thing. He has a company that is called Made by Chubb, and he does this thing called CNFTs, and he does kind of that same thing where his T-shirts are authenticated on the Cardano blockchain.
Oh,
so
wow.
so that you know what his stuff is. He also does a really cool thing called Mint Monday, where every Monday he gives away a Cardano NFT. Sometimes it's his own stuff. Sometimes it's a really cool one that's from the culture. There, within the Cardano world, which is not, my strongest suit, there are some certain projects there that are already kind of thought of as legendary within those own circles and have very high very high resale prices still. So he's really deep in that space. Great guy to follow. And so to answer that question, I definitely have my eye on what do they call it? The physical digital phygital idea. I feel like there's a long way to go with things like a Step-In app. I got wrecked on Step-In pretty well. And I feel like there's a long way to go with those things. But I will tell you this, when it comes to physical verification, it's something I've studied quite a bit in my NFT archaeology, because there was a company called Chronicled from 2016 that was doing that. They were taking a near field communicator, an NFC chip, and they were putting it on art, like a 1 of 25, and they'd have 25 copies, and each one would have that chip in it. And when you got a phone close to it, it would pull it up on the blockchain and prove that it was authentic.
Okay.
So I think authenticity using the blockchain is a really great place that people will go. I think concert shirts will go that direction, because an authentic concert shirt is really worth a lot of money. I have a Prince shirt that's worth like $250 on eBay right now.
In the thrifting world,
Yeah, but authentic versions of those shirts are very hard, because you can make, especially with modern technology, you can make the exact print of the original shirt.
Right.
And some kid's going to buy that just because it says 2002 on it. So anyway, authenticating digital assets into the physical assets.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. I see one. Is Nifty Generator a good tool if we want to generate art based off real images, pictures that we have and own? Absolutely. Now, here's the trick with Nifty Generator of any type. The frames need to be the exact same size. If we were talking about 3200 by 3200, oh yeah, thank you, Patrick, by the way. Those were amazing questions. So excuse me there. yeah, the image size need to be the same. So if all of your images need to be 1200 by 1200 for all of the layers. So in the example of my Christmas tree, the background is 1200 by 1200. Even the little ornament is 1200 by 1200, but the ornament is oriented where it will be in the right place on the final image. But still, the frame itself is 1200 by 1200, and then the ornament is floating. And I could actually show that to you. With this example right here, with the comforts, can you all see that? So here are the different animals. So see, the frame is the same size as the background, but the image layer is oriented so it'll be in the right place on the final image. And that's an important part of that. So other than that, you could do photography. In the example I showed, actually, I'll show one more example from my slide deck where I did exactly that. I did this alien right here. And what I did is I went to the varsity and I took some photography, and then I sculpted this alien in Oculus. And then I exported it in Oculus and I rendered it in Adobe Dimension using Adobe Substance. And then I combined the photo with the computer generated image to try to make it look like it was really there in real life using advanced lighting within Adobe. So yeah, you can combine anything you want. I didn't use Quill. I wish I would have used Quill because Quill is amazing. I just I used an Oculus Quest 2, which is wireless, and you can't use Quill on it. You have to have it hooked up to a laptop to use Quill. Quill is so amazing though. If y'all don't know, Quill is a storytelling 3D app that you could probably just do whatever you wanted inside of it. Honestly, it's so powerful. You could make an animated film if you just sat there with it. Yeah, VR is mind blowing. I love VR. I love making art in VR. I could go on and on about art. Yeah, where should we go from here?
I think that was great. That was really, really wonderful. Thank you, Patrick, and all who asked questions. I think we should totally conclude with one thing. Did you want to show that paperless wallet? I mean, that paper wallet?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, I think that's the best way to send us off.
Yeah, and I will also, I'll flash really quickly here, just my intro to what I talk about outside of this, which is a lot of NFT archaeology. And I won't go through the whole thing, but I'll just mention what the basis of the whole idea is. So in NFT archaeology, we search the blockchain looking for what we've missed, what projects were out there, what lessons should we learn from things going badly. If there's a bunch of rug pulls that happened before, we just don't want people to have that happen to them again. So we're always trying to complete the digital antiquities timeline. So this is White Rabbit 1111. He's another NFT archaeologist. And this is his graphic that shows the timeline of digital assets all the way to what we think of as the beginning in March of 2012 with colored coins. So if you look at that roller coaster shows we're still in a very beginning of the early adopter phase. But these are most of the projects that we have identified as existing before we got to the larger phase in 2021 when NFTs basically blew up. And on this particular timeline, we don't even track anything after 2018 because that's when a lot of really significant things changed in the NFT world. So then the earliest NFTs are most likely the ones on Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin NFTs are mostly served from what's called the counterparty platform, which is what this middle example that middle graphic is. But these are all projects that launched in 2014 through 2016 in the NFT world, in the last Bitcoin era of NFTs before that. And then even predating that are these things called Puni codes that are those little graphics you put in there that make it look like an emoji. This is what those represent. So to people, they're like, oh, well, this is some of the first art on the blockchain. And this goes all the way back to 2011. So it's pretty interesting, even though it's not sophisticated art by any means. It was mostly just, it was emojis essentially, and some real childish stuff. So yeah, coming back from that, I'm going to unshare actually, and I'm going to show a live example. And can Patrick, do you mind to mute, brother? Okay. So what I have been doing is I've been studying the blockchain, looking for incredible things that people haven't found. And one of the things I found is this project called Immortal Player Characters. And Immortal Player Characters is a paper wallet system of NFTs. So when I originally found this, and I found the website where you could still obtain it for cash, for PayPal crypto, not crypto, he mailed it to me in the mail. So I got this in the mail, and inside of it, when I opened it up, is this paper wallet NFT. And what a paper wallet NFT means is this physical piece of paper is the MetaMask wallet that holds this NFT. So what I mean by that, and I'm going to cover it up a little bit, this QR code at the top is that actual MetaMask label that you never show anyone. This is your actual seed phrase right here in a QR code of this paper wallet right here. And then at the bottom, this public key, which you can scan yourself if you want to or whatever, is the actual key for this NFT. And this NFT is called Fiverl Lorzazun, or something like that. It's all of this is on-chain generated information. And if you look, it was created on 11/13/2018 at 11:28 a.m. And if you go and you scan that barcode at the bottom, you can verify that exact time was when this NFT was minted. So this is a 2018 NFT. So something really cool that we love about as NFT archaeologists is finding something cool like this and then figuring out why. Why is it that people don't really know about it? And I figured it out. There were two main things. Well, one thing, the word NFT doesn't appear on his website because on the website, the word NFT wasn't very popular at the time of 2018. So he used his phrase, Immortal Player Characters. The other thing that is really intense is he's a famous video game designer. He designed Echo the Dolphin. He designed X-Men, X-Men 2, Jurassic Park, all these different games for Sega Genesis back in the 90s. And so his name is Ed Annunziata. And Ed Annunziata is just an amazing guy. Actually, I was in New York for NFT NYC this last week, and just by chance, we both were there. He lives in California, and I got to link up with him in real life. So then next week, as I'm a journalist and an NFT archaeologist, I'll be putting out a Medium article that explains every little piece of this project. But for now, I'm going to drop into the chat the actual website. And if you want to, you could run over to the website, and before this is some straight alpha. If you wanted to, you can grab one of these Immortal Player Characters. Now, if you want the paper wallet one, then you can use PayPal and you can pay directly on his website to grab one, and he'll mail it to you just like he'll actually physically will mail it in the envelope. And then if you want to mint one, there are about 1,000 left on the contract over on Etherscan that have not been minted from back in the day. And I will show you in that article when I put that out next week how to mint directly from the contract, because it's an unverified contract. So we had to do some special stuff. So in any case, though, you can collect one of those if you want. You can check it out. I really encourage you to do that because the coolest part of it is that it's actually not just a cool paper wallet NFT. It's actually a metaverse. It is an AR experience. And I think I can show you very quickly if we have just another second. Are we okay for another second?
Yeah, I mean, it's your show. It's right, however you're feeling.
So I'll show you this. I want to show you the actual example here, and maybe I'll change my setting view for speaker for myself. Okay, so I'm going to get this thing to load, and once the app, there's an actual app over on iOS for the for this. It's called the Ipc Explorer, and the Ipc Explorer, in theoretical terms. This is going to be the one time it doesn't work. Oh, it is going to work for me. Okay, so here's what the Ipc Explorer looks like. It's loaded up there, and then you take. I'm going to block the private key. You take that QR. This is going to be fun trying to manage this. Okay, you scan the QR code as it says there. It's going to scan that QR. Bam, I'm pretty sure that it did it. Okay.
I believe no.
And then,
did it do it?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't give you a clear indication yet. It's a little bit older. Okay. Yeah, it did, because there's your character, right? And then you click on Fevril, and there he is on your app. And there's all of his stats. But then at the bottom, view in AR. And so you press that button, and then you take the IPC logo, the logo to the thing, because that is the AR touch point, as they call it, like the point that it's looking for in the app. And then, boom, it pulled up a weird one, but yeah, total AR part of it, right? And so I think that it pulled that one up because, yeah, it does technically say that one has black hair. So the image you're seeing is the actual rendering being pulled through the Ethereum blockchain and creating the character. So that's what the character in all of its glory really looks like. Yeah, and so that's a super fun thing that's been sitting there since 2018. At any point, you could have went to that website and got it if you knew what to look for. So the reason that I love talking about NFT archaeology is because I know of things that are not fully surfaced. I know of projects that I'm still trying to crack. I call it, they're a dig, right? It's an NFT archaeology dig. So I'm digging. And so once I found that one, I contacted the original dev, Ed Annunziata, and I started to talk to him. I found out that he created Echo the Dolphin, blew my mind, and he created all these other great video games. And then I started talking to him about if he really wanted to be, do anything with this project. And he's like, yeah, people just don't know about it because of the paper wallets. And I'm like, well, we'll write it up, we'll talk about it, and then we'll help, I'll explain to people how cool this project is and make sure that it's recognized on the blockchain history. And so that's what we've been working on. And he's been doing his own work to create a whole secondary marketplace because he doesn't like OpenSea. He doesn't want to deal with the flipper. He's a very much of a purist when it comes to the game side of it. And so he created his own marketplace. It's all interesting. There's other things out there though. That's the point I want to make. No matter how much I dig, someone and myself come out with these incredible projects. When I publish this, even my other archaeologists don't really know about it except the ones I've told. But when I tell them, this is a very important project that needs to be recognized in history of the blockchain, in my opinion. And there are others. So if things like that interest you, like sitting on Etherscan all night, just digging through contract code, that's one of the ways I learned Salinity was just by understanding all these old codes. So yeah, I encourage you to check that out more. I'm going to be talking a lot more about NFT archaeology over time, and I'll be putting out, little guides that will explain how to get into it. And just know that no matter what, there's a lot more to find on the blockchain, especially in the year 2016, where we have a huge gap on the timeline right now. So yeah, if it's something that interests you, it's a really great place to nerd out and get into a very deep rabbit hole.
Oh my. First of all, you are definitely by far my most favorite NFT archaeologist. Just want you to know that. Just gonna mark that off for you. And just thank you. Once again, you were truly cherished and appreciated. Thank you for taking the time and just running through all of this powerful insight with us. And you can let the folks know how to find you on whatever social you prefer, and we can keep it pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a slide for right now. A lot of times, LinkedIn is a great place to get in touch with me, and so I share that a lot of times because when it comes to this particular work, it's a great place for it. If you want to talk about like the depths of NFT stuff, you can always follow me on Twitter. It's _JDL, but I post everything in through Instagram and through all the different socials. My Instagram is a little more focused on my television and acting and producing and directing career. But yeah, I'm out here. So, and I'm more than willing to chat, and I'm definitely up for great conversations. And I'm an artist, and I'm an artist advocate, and most of all, I'm an advocate for underrepresented people and for vulnerable populations. So the biggest work that I want to do from now till the end of time, if possible, is to continue to help, people like us not only get into the space, but to preserve the legacy of our history. And so that's a lot of the work that I work on now, is decentralizing history, keeping our stories, making sure our stories don't get lost, and making sure that people want into this space have an opportunity to get into it. So anything related to that, I'm always very interested to talk about.
That is super dope, super dope. Really bright conversation. And we are, as you all know, Umba Daima is totally down for and equipped to diversify the blockchain. And with wonderful and brilliant individuals like Jeremiah, we are capable of informing the communities within it. So once again, thank you so much. And this concludes our conversations, folks. We have all that alpha, all of that intel. What are you gonna do with it? The recording is coming in hot. Jeremiah's gonna share some of those links, those tool links. So don't be afraid, they're coming in. And we appreciate you all for taking the time. I hope you all have a wonderful and powerful rest of your days, and stay positive.
Yeah, stay positive, y'all. Thank you so much.
No problem. Talk to you.